Can you all hear me? I think you can. All right, let's turn this on up. Oh, there it is. Okay. We all up in the mic, child. All up in the mic. Okay. You know, there comes a time where you got to acknowledge greatness. And I've been a bit hard on Hyundai these past, 10 years.
How'd you get here?
In my Hyundai Sonata.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about me, you know I'm a Honda guy. But as time has gone on, I have given some level of respect to the Korean brands. Now, in case you guys have not been keeping up, Hyundai alongside Kia has been making some great strides in the automotive industry. So much so that even to the point now that Hyundai is somewhat on par with BMW and its M division. And in this video, we'll be talking about that. What's up, guys? My name is Chris, and welcome to The Breakdown, where we talk about everything cars, news, and reviews. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Yeah, I'm a little congested. But I said that I was going to talk about Hyundai's onslaught to M, and I could be, a little dramatic.
I, for example, need to keep refilling my water wheel or I'll power down forever. Oh God, I'll never make it this time! This is the end! Anyway.
Because it's not exactly what happened. But since 2015, Hyundai has demonstrated that they are more than capable, if not on par, with the benchmarks such as AMG, such as RS, as well as the big dog in the house, the M division. Now, in case you have not been keeping up, Hyundai has given us some really good monikers under the M division, as well as the N line, that being the Elantra, the Veloster, as well as the legendary in the making Ioniq 5, and I think it's time we have a discussion about that. So in this video, we will not only be talking about Hyundai's in-line or in-performance line, we'll also be talking about the comparisons just a little bit between how BMW got a little more stale for the sake of selling cars and how Hyundai stepped into the plate and stepped forward for the enthusiasts. So with that being said, stick around and stay tuned because you are now watching The Breakdown. So in case you guys have not been keeping up, I'm a little congested. So if I sound a little awful, I promise it's not that bad. It's probably been about 24 hours since I was, my nose was stopped up. So this weather's crazy. And I keep telling you guys, climate change is very real. So don't let anybody else tell you anything otherwise. But the thing is that we don't talk enough about Hyundai in the end performance. Sure, you've got the Type R. Sure, you've got Ford Mustang, the GT line, even Dodge and Hellcat SRT. But when it comes to performance, we oftentimes revert to the Germans. AMG has been a long-standing lineup, as well as M. And M, quite frankly, is a different beast in itself when you think about the ultimate driving machine in performance. I did not mean to put that in there, but it's in there now. And Hyundai has always been a company that's been, budget friendly. And Hyundai is a very worldwide renowned company, in case you guys don't know, alongside Kia. And they've been in the States for quite some time, since the late 80s, roughly about 1986, 87 with the Hyundai Pony. But we won't go that deep into history. We're going to dig probably in the last 10 years. So what happened was that during 2006, 2007, 2008, BMW was on a high, if you will. And this was the first time we had gotten the greats like the E90 and the E92 and the monstrous V8s, especially from the 500 horsepower V10 that was in the M5. And M performance, when you spoke M back then, it meant something. Not gonna hold you. And M represented a very special place in BMW's lineup that only the top of the top could actually afford. Now, quite frankly, I was okay with the M Lite, if you will, but that's just me. But since the E92, the E90 version, a lot of people have complained that BMW has gotten a little soft. Even now with the M440 and, the only thing that I can really attest to being a true M car and its pinnacle would probably be the M2. And I love the M2. I had an M240. And like I said, I like M Lite, but ever since then, BMW has not quite presented what the people want. And I want to go on record and say that for the average consumer, a M car is probably too much. But for the enthusiasts, it's not enough. And so around 2010, we started to see a little trend and change in Hyundai. They get more stylish, they get more sleek. Now, the pinnacle moment that happens here is that Peter Schreier comes over from Audi, as well as Albert Biermann comes over later in 2015 to take over and spearhead the N division, which he basically came from BMW. Now, we can argue that he coming from BMW was a cash grab and a replay on what BMW used to do. But in fact, I think it's the opposite. I think Hyundai gave him the complete freedom to be able to do what he wanted to do within means. And basically, it simply boils back down to budget. But since then, since 2015, Hyundai has given us a lot of different things. But as of late, the N line is pretty much the pinnacle of Hyundai performance and has demonstrated the ability to be quite the contender amongst the greats. The Ioniq 5N is probably one of the first EV enthusiast driven cars. And I know that sounds a little bit whack because a lot of us enthusiasts don't necessarily care for EVs at the moment. But it goes without saying that when a EV that is of roughly about $50,000-$60,000 can outpace a Tesla Model S, and well, close to it anyway, and can even join and beat the ranks of a Porsche Taycan, it deserves some looking at. Now, it has over 600 horsepower, and it very much is everything that an enthusiast wants, from the hatchback styling. It's a little retro, if you will, and it basically roasted tires, and they took every mistake that many of the other performance car makers made, such as the Civic Type R, with giving it a better cooling system, giving it better brakes, better tires, everything. They made sure that this was track ready. And if you had told me that Hyundai in 2010, if you will, would be a performance beast, I would not have believed you. But that proves to be true. Now, Albert Bierman has proven that it is very, very possible for a mainstream brand to be able to push out a performance lineup. But I do want to express this, that we as car enthusiasts have to be a little honest with ourselves, and we have to be mindful that if, I'm gonna say this again,
if you don't buy it, they will get rid of it.
And I think that one of the good things about Hyundai in the M division versus the M performance line is that the M performance line for a lot of us is out of touch. Whereas things like the Veloster N, what was the Veloster N, as well as the Ioniq, you probably can lease it for a decent rate. These are cars within reason. Now, I do think there's some cause for concern of whether or not these lineups will be in the legacy ranking of M for a lot of enthusiasts, because quite frankly, we can be a bit judgy. We don't really want something that has the name Hyundai or Kia attached to it. I'm not being funny. There's a lot of enthusiasts out there, but it's not many of them. In the N division, since it's been introduced, not the N line, because the N line is the light version, and the N division has demonstrated that when you put your money into development and construction of performance vehicles, you do get great outcomes. And these vehicles, while not quite having the legend status of, let's say, an AMG or let's say a Type R, they still do present an amazing value proposition. When the N division first came out, it was a little bit questionable. Nobody thought Hyundai could do it. And 10 years later, they have shown us that they in fact can. And as we move into electrification, and of course, like I said, the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6N is supposed to be coming out, there's a lot of room for potential for Hyundai to really show everybody what they've got. And a lot of manufacturers have been racing in Formula E, as well as Hyundai has been dipping their toes in that and trying to figure out what works best for the WRC. And I found it really cool that the N moniker has 3 different meanings, one for being Namyang, which is the R&D facility over in Korea, as well as it represents the Nürburgring, which is supposed to be the testing grounds or proving grounds for the highest of the high performance vehicles, as well as the N is supposed to be a curving chicane for the precision that comes along with having an N division car. Their vision ultimately is to be the most respected performance brand in the world, and I think they have come close to it. I won't say they've completely done it, but I think they've come close. And BMW should be scared. BMW for the last 10 years has gotten soft. And between the controversies of the grills and just the neutered feeling of the newer BMWs, a lot of enthusiasts feel as though that the M division is not quite what it used to be. Even now, it seems like if you gave me an M5, it's very underwhelming compared to what it was back in 2007. And that could be attributed to Albert Bierman, I don't know. But the thing to remember is that as you get comfortable and you rest on your laurels, there is always somebody lurking in the back. There is always somebody waiting to take your spot. And while N division is not quite the M division. It comes really, really close in proximity, and a lot of car makers should be taking note. Even so much so, Mercedes has been on the lookout of who's coming behind them, so much so that they went back and did it again with the CLA. And I think that as long as Hyundai continues to offer an amazing value proposition over the next 10 to 15 years, we may see the N division become a staple in the automotive world by comparison to something that used to be the BMW M. Overall, I think that this was a great attempt to try to overthrow the cars of yore and create a new division of new. I think I said that right. But Hyundai has shown us that they want it, and they want it bad. I would be very curious to see them in the next 10 years and see where they've gone. And the quality of both Honda and Kia, despite the recalls of many other manufacturers, has gotten significantly better than what we used to in the early to late 2000s. So it is very much high potential for Hyundai, and this N division represents that they are trying to be the utmost top tier performance, and that needs to be recognized. But you guys let me know in the comments below how you feel about the N division. Do you feel as though BMW M has become lesser, or do you feel like they're just kind of chilling and waiting for something to challenge them up? Or do you feel like Hyundai has stepped up to the plate and they've actually given something that the people want to see? And with that being said, until the next video, I will see you guys later.